Andrew. I am the current General Manager for Southeast Asia Pacific in a company called Composites. Most of our customers would know us from our most famous brand, which is facade materials, aluminium composites. The brand is called Aluko Bond. That's what most people know us by. So my day-to-day is leading the team in Southeast Asia Pacific. I basically lead and drive the business in the entire region, reporting to our regional CEO. So if you look back in the construction industry, not even 20 years, maybe 15 years ago, it's going to be knocking on every single door and asking about project leads or project information. We are all in the construction industry, you know, everything is a little primitive, especially in the emerging markets. So everything is by word of mouth, everything is a they say topic. I first started the exchange and working with BCI when I first entered the construction industry, which is around, I would say, 7-8 years ago, as a sales rep on the field in another company. And that's where I used the BCI information and now Hubexo's LeadManager in order to plan my pipelines and plan my day and which customers I would focus on. And of course, the usage has now scaled into a different level with the leadership position that I have. We merge the features of the LeadManager together with my business processes in order to make us work more productively. So right now, how we use LeadManager is it is the starting point of all our planning for next year. By using the LeadManager as the basis of what are the projects and the customers in the region that we want to focus on in the different countries, that sets the baseline. So by having the LeadManager as a starting point, we're able to plan with data that has been verified. But for me, importantly, it's not about treating the LeadManager as a platform where we buy data, but kind of looking at how we integrate that together with our existing business processes to make it more productive. The most important is still the customer relationship to verify that data, but having that baseline starting point actually improves productivity on planning by a very large amount. And then in the mature markets like Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, we have a lot more clarity that when the date is being set in the LeadManager, we are pretty confident to an 80% rate that the project will be completed by that year. That will help us with our pipeline planning and serve our customers better as well. One thing that I have seen recently when planning also to go into more markets and expand our reach, it gives me a clarity of which countries and which business segments I need to focus on when entering a new market, where to start, who to start with. And so it gives me the ability to zoom in and say that we invest in this area, whether do we need a headcount there, or whether do I want to work with distributors. If I were to work with distributors, in which area would I have a partner situated at? As we now plan to expand the reach and go into some markets where we don't have a presence at all, but yet the construction output is very attractive to us, we know particularly where to start. We know what kind of projects and segments that is driving the construction output, and that gives us the ability to focus. Our account manager has also been very, very helpful in understanding of the business. So when we have meetings with our account manager, it's not so much about, oh, there is this feature, there is that feature coming from LeadManager that is new, but it's more of we understand your business, we understand which countries you're operating in and what your challenges. So you are not really a supplier for software or a supplier for data, but more towards partnering us in the business. If you are someone thinking of working with Hubexo, don't come in with the mentality that you are buying data from a company and then being in a silo where you're figuring out how to utilize the features into your business. Look at them as a partner and see how the features actually integrate with your existing processes. Partner with them to see what would bring the most relevance and help you deliver the biggest results.